Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Stacey Davids. We're honoured to acknowledge Air Marshal Leo Davies, Chief of Air Force Australia, current serving members of No. 2 Squadron and members of the 2 Squadron Association. We're also honoured to welcome the HMAS Cerberus Victoria Engineering Officer Course Delegation and representatives from the New Zealand and Canadian Departments of Defence. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From Victoria, Scotch College, Melbourne, and Bandiana Primary School. From New South Wales, Merredin School, Strathfield, and Norwest Christian School, Rouse Hill. I invite you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Andrew Clement Walsh, who served under the name of Private Richmond Ambrose Walsh. Andrew Walsh was born on the 27th of June, 1898, to Michael and Mary Walsh of Parkside in Adelaide. He attended the Christian Brothers College and was president of the St. Andrew's branch of the Hibernian Australian Catholic Benefit Society. He was so ardent in his work for the society that in 1914 he was awarded the gold medal and special prize from the Board of Juvenile Superintendents. Following his schooling, he went on to work for the government printing office. Andrew was noted as being of a cheerful and happy disposition and very popular amongst his many friends. Andrew Walsh enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force a few days after his brother Frank in July 1915. Because he was underage, Andrew enlisted under the name of his older brother Richmond and put his age up from 17 years and 1 month to 18 years and 1 month. He was posted to the 32nd Battalion and after a short period of training in Australia, was sent for overseas service. He arrived in Egypt just before Christmas 1915 and continued training before being sent to France. He arrived on the Western Front in June 1916. Within weeks of arriving in France, the 32nd Battalion was called on to participate in an operation near the French village of Fromelles. Directed against a strong German position known as the Sugarloaf Salient, the attack was intended as a feint to draw German troops away from the Somme offensive taking place further south. The attack was launched at 6 p.m. on the 19th of July, 1916. Almost immediately, the attackers were met with heavy German machine gun fire. The attack failed, with the heaviest casualties sustained by the Australian military in a 24-hour period. More than 5,530 men were killed, wounded, or missing. Among the missing was Private Richmond Walsh. An investigation later revealed that he had last been seen in no man's land, too wounded to return on his own. In 1917, a court of inquiry determined that he had been killed in action at Fromelles. Private Walsh's remains were never recovered. He was 18 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honor on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Andrew Clement Walsh, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.